And now, a message from our sponsor, CyberReason. If you're a defender fighting to protect your organization from cyber attackers, you must be successful ending attacks every single time. They only need to be successful once. CyberReason reverses the attacker's advantage. Their future-ready attack platform gives defenders the wisdom to uncover, understand, and piece together multiple threats, and the precision focus to end cyber attacks instantly. Learn more at cyberreason.com. Updates on the DarkSide ransomware attack on Colonial Pipeline. Other ransomware strains, including Avaddon and Babuk, are out and dangerous. Guidelines on 5G threat vectors. Lemon Duck cryptojackers are looking for vulnerable Exchange server instances. A bogus malicious Chrome app is circulating by smishing. Then Yelin examines an online facial recognition platform. Our guest is Mathieu Gorge of VigiTrust on the privacy risks of video and audio recordings, and an update on an espionage trial. From the CyberWire studios at Data Tribe, I'm Dave Bittner with your CyberWire summary for Tuesday, May 11th, 2021. The U.S. FBI confirmed yesterday that the DarkSide ransomware gang was indeed responsible for the ransomware attack on Colonial Pipeline. President Biden, while stopping short of calling out the Russian government as having directed the attack, did say that Moscow bore some level of unspecified responsibility. The president said, quote, "So far, there is no evidence from our intelligence people that Russia is involved, although there is some evidence that the actor's ransomware is in Russia. They have some responsibility to deal with this." That quote via the Washington Post. Amid reports of spiking fuel prices in parts of the eastern U.S., the U.S. administration also sought to ease concerns about fuel costs. Officials also shared their hope that Colonial Pipeline might be able to substantially restore service by week's end. Colonial is said to have been able to restore some service, but recovery remains in progress. Colonial Pipeline's corporate website was inaccessible early this morning. DarkSide isn't the only ransomware gang presenting an active ongoing threat. The Australian Cybersecurity Centre and the US FBI have warned, Bleeping Computer reports, that the Avaddon threat group is active against targets worldwide. Like DarkSide, Avaddon operates as an affiliate network. Its ransomware-as-a-service offerings have, the ACSC says, been active against targets in at least 20 countries, mostly Western and developed, but including China and excluding Russia, across 17 sectors. Avaddon wants, on average, $40,000 from a victim, payable, naturally, in Bitcoin. The crooks promise, honest, to provide the Avaddon General Decryptor in exchange for the ransom. The ACSC also recommends the following familiar best practices: patch operating systems and applications and keep antivirus signatures up to date, scan emails and attachments to detect and block malware, and implement training and processes to identify phishing and externally sourced emails, and maintain offline encrypted backups of data and regularly test your backups, regularly conduct backup procedures, and keep backups offline or in separated networks. The Babuk ransomware gang may also have resurfaced. Technadu reports that its ransomware has targeted Japanese power tool manufacturer Yamabiko. The gang's leak site claims it's obtained 0.5 terabyte of corporate sensitive data. Quote, "The hackers are presenting screenshots of accessed file systems, SolidWorks files, personal employee data, financial reports, testing diagrams, circuit schematics, etc." Babuk, which recently counted coup against the Washington, D.C. Metropolitan Police, has said that henceforth it won't bother encrypting victims' files. That doesn't mean they've reformed, just that they're returning to data theft as their preferred method of extortion. The U.S. Office of the Director of National Intelligence, CISA, and NSA have published a study of the threat environment 5G technology will occupy. Their analysis, designed to support the strategy outlined by the National Telecommunications and Information Administration, was conducted by a 5G threat model working panel. The panel looked at 3 major threat vectors in 5G: standards, the supply chain, and threats to systems architecture, and includes an aggregated list of known and potential threats to the 5G environment, sample scenarios of where 5G may be adopted, and assessed risks to 5G core technologies. Cisco Talos says it's determined that the Lemon Duck cryptojacking group has continued to turn its attention to vulnerable instances of Microsoft Exchange Server. Decipher notes that the gang has adopted some new tactics, techniques, and procedures, several of them intended to serve better obfuscation. Prodeo warns that a new sophisticated smishing campaign impersonates a Chrome app. Victims are asked to pay a small fee to release a package that's been shipped to them. Should victims install the link provided, they are invited to update Chrome. The update is, of course, malicious and installs malware that further disseminates the smishing. And finally, Stars and Stripes reports that U.S. federal prosecutors have asked for a sentence of 17 years in the case of Peter Raphael Zabinski-Debbins, a former U.S. Army Special Forces officer. Mr. Debbins took a guilty plea last November to a charge of participating in an espionage conspiracy with Russian agents between December 1996 and January 2011. Although Mr. Debbins left the Army under a cloud in 2005 after being removed from command over what Stars and Stripes characterizes as violating protocols while serving in Afghanistan, he worked for several years as an intelligence contractor. His contact with the GRU went back to his days as an ROTC cadet at the University of Minnesota. It seems remarkable that he retained his access to classified material as long as he did. His contacts with the GRU came to light only after he failed a polygraph examination in 2019. His attorney has asked for leniency on the grounds that Mr. Debbins suffered from, quote, psychological pathologies, end quote. Mr. Debbins, who has family ties to Russia, said that he sought out intelligence work because of his strong disapproval of the Russian regime and a desire to change that regime from the outside. In 2014, however, he said that he, quote, embraced an occult belief in a system which I believed was my own God and thought I could conform to my will. I created an imaginary advisory council of current and historical figures to guide and assist me. Instead of changing Russia, I descended into insanity, unable to distinguish between reality and fantasy. And now, a word from our sponsor, Barracuda. A year ago, your business may have been part of that massive shift to remote working employees. Ever since, cybercriminals have been working overtime. Now, they're leveraging activity around the COVID vaccine to disguise phishing attacks, hoping to steal money or personal information. That can cost you customers hundreds of thousands of dollars and your reputation in the marketplace. Your email gateway is good for stopping viruses, but you're defenseless against targeted attacks like phishing, account takeover, and hijacking. The Barracuda Email Threat Scanner is a free tool you can use right now to help protect your employees, your business, and your customers. The Barracuda Email Threat Scanner analyzes your Office 365 accounts and identifies malicious emails that slipped past your gateway. Find the cybersecurity threats that are hiding in your Office 365 email right now. Use the Barracuda Email Threat Scanner for free at barracuda.com/cyberwire. That's barracuda.com/cyberwire. And we thank Barracuda for sponsoring our show. The recent data breach at video surveillance and security platform provider Verkada brought to light issues with both third-party risk and how companies should be considering their care and storage of video assets. Mathieu Gorge is CEO and founder of VigiTrust, an integrated risk management software-as-a-service solutions provider, and author of the book, The Cyber Elephant in the Boardroom.
I think that every company is a target, and the issue with video is oftentimes not covered the right way by security and compliance people. And unfortunately, it doesn't necessarily make it to the priority list. So I wasn't really surprised. And I actually expect that we're going to see more of that in the next few months.
Can you dig into why you think folks don't treat security the way they do some other issues in terms of the video?
Because I think that, when you think about security, you think about cyber security, generally speaking. So the security of your networks, the security right now of your remote workers with the pandemic, security of your servers, and so on. You don't necessarily think of the hidden threats or issues with video. Let me give you a few examples. If you've got video security within your system, those systems are typically IP enabled, and you use them for physical security. You use them for maybe to track where people are going or how many people come into your business, especially in retail and so on. And all of that data ends up on your network. And yet, because it's not seen as personal data like credit card holder data or health data, it's not actually being treated as such. The issue with that is that you end up with geolocation data, you end up with biometric data, you also end up with potentially some data pertaining to documents. And an example of that is especially in government or in semi-state, where you go in, for instance, to get your driver's license. You go to the till and you're asked for a copy of your ID, maybe a credit card and so on. And there will always be a camera somewhere that, if it's pointed the wrong direction, can actually capture copies of that information, which ends up being on your systems, ends up being backed up. And somebody with access and with malicious intent can actually replay it and get access to your personal data. Another example would be, say, maybe a gym or a fitness or a spa, where people come in, and when they log in, when they go to reception, they give their credit card, and then the whole copy of the credit card is actually taken within the system. Now, the funny thing, if I may, is that if you look at IVR, interactive voice recording, that always makes it onto an asset list within ISO 27001. And ironically, the video systems don't. So we think of audio systems in terms of contact centers and so on, and we cover that data because it actually ends up on the systems, and we know that it's managed by a computer system and a program in the back end, but for some reason video doesn't make it.
That's Mathieu Gorge from VigiTrust. And now, a word from our sponsor, ExtraHop, stopping breaches with cloud-native network detection and response. Let's face it, cyber criminals have the upper hand, and the most advanced ones have already made it past your defenses. When advanced threats like SolarWinds Sunburst compromises your business, you need a strategy. Tune in to ExtraHop's session, Building a CISO Response Strategy to Advanced Threats, at the RSA Conference on May 19th, and learn real, applicable strategies to build resilience against advanced threats. Find session details and learn more about ExtraHop's presence at the 2021 RSA Conference at extrahop.com/RSAC21. That's extrahop.com/RSAC21. And we thank ExtraHop for sponsoring our show. And joining me once again is Ben Yelin. He's from the University of Maryland Center for Health and Homeland Security, and also my co-host over on the Caveat podcast. Ben, always great to have you back.
Good to be with you again, Dave.
Interesting article over on CNN Business. This is written by Rachel Metz. It's titled, "Anyone Can Use This Powerful Facial Recognition Tool, and That's the Problem." Talking about an online service called PIM Eyes, P-I-M Eyes. What's going on here, Ben?
So this is an online service. You can get some of its benefits for free. Some of what they're offering requires a paid monthly or annual subscription. You might actually get more by paying that subscription, but I'll get to that in a second. So basically how it works is you upload a photo of yourself and you find any photo on the entire internet that matches the photo that you've uploaded. So you can find out, what photos of you are out there on the internet for good and bad. And these can be photos, good photos from your vacations, from graduations, from the website of your place of employment, or it can be really negative things like potential pornographic videos. So it really runs the gamut. There are a lot of risks inherent in this service. One of them is that there's no way for the site to enforce that you're uploading your own picture. So you could potentially upload the picture of somebody else and get all of the results, get their results and see where their pictures are posted on the internet. And you can imagine how this could be used for very nefarious purposes. So if you're an online stalker and you want to know, what the person that you're stalking has been up to, then you can upload a photo of that person and, they might gather that person's photos from Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, social media, all in one location, and that would actually give the stalker access to pretty useful information. Now, there's nothing personally identifiable, so there's no names that come with this photo, but, there are tools you could use, reverse Google image searches, etc., to put a name to the face, so that's not entirely foolproof. There are major differences in the free version of this and the paid versions. So in the free version, you just get a bunch of pixelated images. You might get a decent idea. I mean, I might be like, oh, I recognize that. I remember that picture of me on the internet, that shirt I was wearing, etc. But that's not going to offer you much information. But if you pay a monthly fee of $29.99 a month as an individual, then you can do this on a much larger scale. It gives you access to greater search features and will make sure that it gets you images that are not pixelated. And then a business, and this is something that's kind of scary if you think about it, could pay $300 and have the ability to do unlimited searches under this service. So this article, mentions the possibility that your employer uses it. Maybe they've got a picture of you on their security cam when you came in for the interview. They upload that photo and they find, the time you partied in college with a six-pack in public when you were drinking as a minor.
Right.
And they decline you employment. So, I think there are potential good uses for this type of technology, but also a lot of potential bad uses for this technology. It's really interesting, though.
Well, let me tell you, I took one for the team here, and I uploaded a picture of myself. I uploaded my headshot, my official CyberWire headshot from the website, and just to see what would come up with the free version of the search here. And sure enough, it found lots of pictures of me. I'd say there are some pictures in here dating back to when I was in my 20s, which is a long time ago.
You don't want to age yourself, but that was not yesterday. Let's put it that way.
No, not yesterday. I mean, that was really almost pre-YouTube, pre a lot of this stuff. So that's an older picture. But there's a variety of photos of me in different scenarios, both pictures where I'm part of a group photo or I was at an event, something like that, as you say. But also of great interest to me is it lists a bunch of photos that it categorizes as being lower score results, and none of them are me. It's a whole gallery of people who I'll admit kind of look like me.
You?
Yeah, they look like me. I could see they could be related to me, some more than others. So you can see how the algorithm would think, yeah, this might be Dave, but it's not me. Fascinating. I guess as you say, boy, the widespread availability of this is the thing, right? Because there's no verification that the picture you're uploading is you. It could be anybody. So you could be a stalker or whatever, and use this service to try to. It's all open source information.
It is open source information. Now, one thing that they mentioned in the article that could be a good use of this service is, if you're a potential celebrity or somebody who thinks they've been the victim of revenge porn, if you do a search under the service, you could find out, whether your image has been used in pornography. And that could be a very useful mechanism without having to scour the entire internet. So there is, there's a lot of potential here. It's just very ripe for negative consequences. And I think it worries me, potentially when we talk about stalkers and, potential employers. We get into some pretty dangerous territory there, in my view.
Mm-hmm. There's a picture of me here, and I'm wearing a tuxedo. I was emceeing an event, and I know exactly what event it is. But what's intriguing is it has tagged it as a potentially explicit result.
Huh. Were you wearing a tuxedo or a birthday suit?
It was definitely a tuxedo, and you can't tell from this photo, but I swear I was wearing pants.
Interesting.
But here's the catch, right? If I want to click through and find out the website on here that's potentially explicit, it's going to cost me $30.
Yeah, that's how they get you.
That's how they get me. So, I'm not going to do it. But again, interesting article. This is over on CNN Business. The article's by Rachel Metz. Anyone can use this powerful facial recognition tool, and that's the problem. The website is called PIM Eyes. Worth a look. I think for better or for worse, this is kind of the shape of things to come.
I am discovering that there's one guy on the internet, because I did this search myself, who apparently has very similar facial features to me. Because I got like 30 versions of this person's photo. So I might have to meet this doppelganger in person someday.
That's right. Separated at birth. All right. Well, Ben Yelin, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Thanks to all of our sponsors for making the CyberWire possible. And that's the CyberWire. For links to all of today's stories, check out our daily briefing at thecyberwire.com. The CyberWire podcast is proudly produced in Maryland out of the startup studios of Data Tribe, where they're co-building the next generation of cybersecurity teams and technologies. Our amazing CyberWire team is Elliot Peltzman, Puru Prakash, Kelsey Bond, Tim Nodar, Joe Kerrigan, Carol Terrio, Ben Yelin, Nick Valecki, Gina Johnson, Bennett Moe, Chris Russell, John Petrick, Jennifer Iben, Rick Howard, Peter Kilpie, and I'm Dave Bittner. Thanks for listening. We'll see you back here tomorrow. It's time to take a moment to tell you about our sponsor, Tanium. In today's connected world, we rely on endpoints for everything, from telework to mobile banking, telemedicine, and online learning. The large-scale shift to remote work in the COVID-19 era makes managing and securing these endpoints more challenging than ever. Tanium, the provider of endpoint management and security built for the world's most demanding IT environments, gets organizations ready for a perimeter-less enterprise. The company recently published a report with PSB Insights on the new security threats facing organizations as a result of the pandemic. It's titled IT Leads the Way: How the Pandemic Empowered IT. It features intelligence from 500 senior-level IT decision-makers. Visit Tanium.com/empowerit to download the full report. And we thank Tanium for sponsoring our show.